What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? This is Joseph R. Wheeler III, the artist, the founder, and the president of the ONYXCON Foundation. Before I start today's presentation, this live, I want to make sure I say, because as I always say, that views and opinions expressed during this broadcast do not necessarily reflect those of ONYXCON's affiliates, associates, sponsors, etc., etc., etc. All right, ONYXCON is a 501c3 nonprofit arts and creative lifestyle organization. We were started in 2009. We started as a Comic-Con. A Comic-Con, as you hear, like you hear about Comic-Con International, comic book conventions, things of that nature. And comic book conventions are not just for comic books. Anybody who's ever been to one knows that. It covers gaming, it covers pop culture in general. Cosplay is a huge part of it. Folks dressing up as their favorite characters, cosplay. Tons of elements of collectible items from everything from like collectible cards, role-playing games, tabletop games of that nature. Um, I mean, hell, nowadays, I mean, this has been going for a while, but you can definitely say nowadays, car culture is a big part of it. Uh, just elements of adventure and excitement and things that are trending. Definitely whatever's trending can be a big part of Comic-Con cultures. So I say all that especially because we've been doing this, like I say, since 2009. And when ONYXCON started and when I made it what it became with my teams plural, because over the years, you have your diehard volunteers, people move away, people stay, people have family stuff come up. You build teams, you lose teams, things happen. You know what I mean? It's a constant. It's a real business. It's real business stuff. It's stuff be happening. As a matter of fact, hold on, before I get too deep in this, I want to have some examples because some things I have to say later, I want to make sure I've given receipts for why I know what I've done is exceptional, worth merit, and I have a right to speak on topics when it's in regards to the history and the future of popular culture events, the structure of that, how that gets respected in this society, in this American society, in this world, and much more. I just want to make sure I give a couple of things because a lot of times as we get closer to our 1,000 mark, we're about to hit 1,000. Thanks to all of y'all, 1,000 subscribers, and we're going to eventually get that 4,000 watch hours, and we're going to monetize this channel. But that's a long, arduous process. Something I'm very proud of for every step along the way. Like I said, I'm looking for a few things I want to show y'all during this live. And I just want I want my audience to know who's in the room, because a lot of people don't read the room. People nowadays, not everybody, but a lot of young folks I find are very reckless, and the trolling culture has literally become it's not just something that people do, it's become a culture. Like, this whole idea of being a troll online and saying and doing what you want to do. And I won't even go into the phrase of cyber bully because it doesn't even apply. I don't tolerate a bully. That's just absolutely absurd. Yeah. But anyway, we will call it the trolling thing. And I guess when I put this video out, I'm probably going to call it the Deadpooling of societies. And by that, I mean, after I went and saw the Deadpool Wolverine film, which I did a review about, just go look at that separately, and understand what my exact perspectives were on that. But, I remember when Deadpool first came out as a character, it wasn't that big a deal to me. He was just another random Marvel character and another ninja-like character, which I always liked ninjas. But when I found out that he was like this goofball, the whole Merc with a mouth concept, and when I actually took some time to try to read the books, and like I said, I was never a fan. So, I mean, I dabbled, you know what I mean? You go in a store and you just look through, you go in a comic book shop, you look through a few books with a character and you can try to decipher if that dialogue is in tune with your soul and what you tend to like. And I was like, I don't like this dude. I don't like this dude. What's up, everybody? And so, yeah, I wasn't feeling him. But I never thought he would have reached the level of popularity he has. That's the part. I said, wow. You can never take the the randomness for granted. You can't ever take for granted that just because something seems ridiculous, it won't ever catch wind and start having a momentum to the point where it has a sheer fan base. And by the way, if you see my eyes trail away from looking at y'all, the audience, it's because quite frankly, I'm not in the zone to be all up in the camera today or all up in the comments. I'm just gonna speak my piece, but I'm also watching the U.S. versus France, and that's they're doing their thing, man. It's 80-69 right now. U.S. is leading, and when I started watching at the second half, they were neck and neck. They were like 25-24. I said, good gosh, it's gonna be one of them games. But LeBron and them said, no, 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 we got something to say. And I'm gonna say this real quick as a slight tangent, because this is also ONYXCON material. We have a thing we call ONYXCON Sport Talks, ONYXCON Fitness Sports Talk. And it used to be a show that I did. And I stopped doing it not because I don't have enough appreciation for organized sports, because I do, but I'm not like that diehard fan. And I had a friend of mine who was like really that dude, like he's a sports commentator. And we could never sync schedules enough, plus had some artistic differences on how we were going to approach the show. So it fell apart. I mean, me and my homeboy, we've cool forever. It's still my dude, but it was just like, okay, it's supposed to be fun. So if it starts becoming a headache, we just going to do something else. So it's still a part of our program. It might come back. But I'm hoping they're going to win this game and get gold. That would be beautiful because it's symbolic today. They said that I heard on the radio last night on Sirius FM. I was listening to one of the DJs on there. And they said that because of today's date, it was a Omar. The U.S. team was going to dedicate this game to Kobe Bryant. So Kobe's that man. Kobe's the dude, the Mamba forever. So, and it was because of each number in today's date represented one of the numbers he's played for. He's played under in Kobe's career. He had been an 8. He had been a 24. He had been what's today's date? The 8. Is this the 8th? Yeah, I think so. Excuse me, the 10th. So 8, 10, 24. I think they said every one of those numbers he had played that jersey. I said, damn, wow, that's deep. So they dedicating the game to him. And of course, Kobe himself went to the Olympics and was a champion. So they want to represent on that behalf. So there, yeah. So like I say, if y'all see my eyes trailing, trust me, I'm well in tune with what I'm saying, and I'm still gonna say what I got to say and make this presentation. But I want y'all to know that I'm not ignoring you. I'm just doing multiple things at one time as a boss will do. So anyway, this right here that I'm looking at that I want to share with y'all, because like I say, this is August, and August is the year ONYXCON started in 2009. So this is always our birthday. You are now, this whole month, we are celebrating our birthday as an organization, okay? This is a program I had printed for 1 year at ONYXCON. What year was that? That was, it was a commemorative program. It was not free. It was so funny too, because I only made a few of these and I only gave them out to like my main staff and a few vendors and stuff. So if you were lucky enough to get one, it's a true collector's item. But it is, which year was this? I know we put it, it was the 10-year anniversary. Yeah, it was our 10-year anniversary that year. So yeah, that would have been, let me see, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yep, that would have been 2018, which makes sense because that was literally the last physical year for the convention. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so this here was the program. And as you can see, all those on the cover, all of those are flyers from all the years of events, from the first one on forward. That's what that is. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. A lot of memories every time I look at this. You know how it is. You pull out a yearbook. This is like a mini yearbook. I always wanted to do a real big one, but this is the mini version. I had my introduction, yours truly, back when I was still rocking the fade with my hair and stuff. Tell you about the history of the event, why I started it and whatnot. That was the first flyer for the convention. You feel me? That's what that was. Some pics from over the years. Yes, that is me in semi-cosplay, representation of one of my main characters, and that's me standing next to the son of one of my good buddies, legendary photographer in Atlanta, Mr. Michael Reese, and that's his son, and that boy is like grown now. That's so crazy. He's like, I think in college or something. I don't even know. I'm like, man, life is, Woo, life be going. That's Kevin Sipp next to me in this picture right here, another legendary Atlanta artist. You know what I'm saying? This is a group shot of a lot of great people who were there that year. That kind of vibe. This was the second year of the convention. As you can see, August. We always did it in August in the beginning. This is the full regalia of one of my representative characters that I would mask as. I used to do masquerades at the convention too, so that's me in regalia there. And he was a conjurer of one of my main characters, which is Brother Yams. And Yams is based on many different cultural elements, but especially from the continent of Africa, West Africa, Central Africa particularly. And this is my artwork right here, Sankofa Selectors, that was made for that flyer that year in February when we would do what we call ONYXCON Sankofa to celebrate Black history. And this here was a collaborative effort, this image. The Yams train, the character's name is Brother Yams, and this the guy right here. And you see another representation of him on the arm of this character. But anyway, that was done by Mashindo Kuumba, a very legendary illustrator, who again, you talk about fallouts with artists and everything like that. He didn't continue to be a part of ONYXCON, but he was a major part at one point. And so he did the flyer. I actually came up with the concept of this, to have a Yams train circling around the asteroid belts of a Saturn type planet. And this was what he came up with based on my original sketches, because I did some very light sketches and then he whipped it up like this in digital illustration. Phenomenal. Like I say, I don't take people's points no matter where we are with the connection. You know, things come, things go, but you can't deny that art. It's off the chain. This is another group pick from a legendary event we did. We did a book signing for. I'm gonna show y'all that book too. Black Comics, COMIX. You know what I'm realizing this live? I was gonna talk about something else, but I'm gonna go ahead and just make this all about happy birthday to ONYXCON kind of vibe and give y'all a little yearbooks tours, if you will. Because like I say, as we about to turn 1,000 deep, I don't think a lot of people really understand what this organization is, what we come from, what we've done. People just think it's just this one guy who goes live and does really cool vlogs and, you know, reviews movies and things of that nature. No, I'm a legend and I'm surrounded by legends, and you know, that's not ego. That's just this is receipts. You know, it's all these young folk love to use all these. Where your receipts at, mofo? You're looking at them. These are receipts. You know, that's at Camp Creek Parkway's Barnes and Noble bookstore right here. And if you know anything about Atlanta, that is long gone. Many years ago, that bookstore was phenomenal, and unfortunately, it closed. But that is Mace right there, M-A-S-E, James Mason, legendary comic book artist. That's Dawood Anyabwile, one of the living legends of the Sims family from Philadelphia that created the legendary, to this day, the highest selling independent Black-owned superhero comic book of all time, Brother Man. That's the illustrator right there. That's the man, Dawood Anyabwile. That is Brian McGee, who worked with Dawood on a reinvention of Brother Man with a new book, Brother Man Revelation, they did years ago. It was like the reboot of the concept of Brother Man. This is Afua Richardson, who will be at Dragon Con this year, I heard and saw a flyer for her. She's a legendary illustrator. She did many comic books of her own, but also of note, the famous show Lovecraft Country. The show Lovecraft Country, yeah. If you've ever watched the show and you remember the young lady, the little girl in the family on the show who was a drawer, who, you know, she drew, she was into comic books and stuff. All of her illustrations and everything that character was, you know, pretending to draw on the show was drawn by this woman right here. That's Afua Richardson. And then, of course, that's yours truly right there. And you're saying, what is that on your head? That's my hair, fool. No. I used to have a mohawk. Used to have a frohawk. Yeah. I'm a very funky guy. I'm a serious artist, y'all. I tell people all the time, I said, I am an artist in every sense of the word. And I have lived a lot of great creative life. Other legends, that's Dawood again. John Jennings, phenomenal artist. Look him up. If you look him up, the list of accolades, the resume is gonna read real big. He's a major comic book scholar, professor. Currently, he works with, I always forget the name of the company, but it's a huge, I want to say, is it Abrams or is it, I don't want to say the wrong company, but it's one of those really huge book publishers, and they have a division for diversity to represent, lesser represented ethnicities in the marketplace and science fiction books and whatnot like that. John is in charge of that. So, and that's Shannon Newby, a legendary writer and producer of film from Philadelphia. So this was one year when we had a major panel at the Auburn Avenue Research Library. And again, if you're just joining us, this is the voice of Joseph R. Willis III, that guy, and I'm basically this guy, and I'm basically going on a little yearbook spin with y'all, which I've done these before, but every so many years I like to do one, especially in August, because this is our anniversary, y'all. ONYXCON's anniversary is in August. This is when we started. And I like people to know the history of this organization and what we are and what we've been. Because I realize as we become more a network online and through social media only, some people, people try to narrow you down and think that's all you've done. They don't understand the history of what you're doing. So it's time to get your checkup from the neck up. We're gonna give it to you today. You feel? This here is also me in Regalia. That's a spirit that I came up with called Deep Wood Spirit, and I used to mask that at the convention at times. So this whole element of ONYXCON outdoors worldwide, yeah, we've been about that outdoor energy. You feel me? And that was before everything that changed the world with the pandemic and stuff. So here's another flyer from previous years. That one was done by Chris Miller, legendary illustrator. His characters he came up with for ONYXCON called the Sankofa. I named them the Sankofa family, but I told him I wanted a team that would speak to families, and he came up with this little family that was like kind of like the Invincibles, but they have their own world and their own conflicts and stuff they have to fight against and messages and whatnot. And it was gonna even become like we wanted to even consider it as a new animation project and comic book and all kind of cool stuff. That didn't manifest, but at the same time, hell, it's still here. We still connected. It's always a possibility. You know what I mean? Other flyers from other years. Oh, I'm gonna give away the answer to one of I have this video that's out right now where I'm saying, hey, we want y'all to come on board and help us get that 4,000 watch hours, and it's called the Viewer Comprehension Challenge. And I specifically started talking about a good friend of ONYXCON in an interview that was one of the first streaming interviews we ever did. I'm just gonna keep tapping it because I'm literally giving you one of the answers that you have to do to win some comic books and some other cool stuff. If anybody would ever do it, I haven't had any feedback on it yet. And I just keep it real, y'all. They say fake it till you make it. Faking is just faking. I ain't got time for faking. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. Ain't nobody done it yet. As of today, when I'm saying this, ain't nobody done it. But I'm giving y'all some answers because hopefully if somebody see this and be like, man, let me go back and get in that video and do that. So more history. Wow, so many people to mention. My gosh. All right, so that's me up in the front. That's my ceremonial sword that I made. I actually made that, and it became a big part of ONYXCON. I would always break it out at the very end. And it was symbolic because ceremonial swords are traditions across the globe, but especially in many parts of Africa, where items that may have once been used for war or representative of weapons used in war were used as symbolic gestures of the might of a whole community, tribe, culture, village, however big the community is. And it's meant to not, at that point, necessarily represent violence, but the effort to push through challenges, to overcome any challenges to that community so they can continue to thrive. So this thing is very heavy, and I would always bring it out at the end and pose with the vendors and everybody, and I would ask them to, anybody want to step forward and help me hold the weight? And it'd be funny because every year, everybody look kind of weird, like people be so funny about not understanding metaphor and symbolism. But there would always be a few people who would come over and do it, and I'd put that sword on their hand, and they'd be, God dang, this thing is heavy. I said, yeah, it is. And then they look at me different because they realize, okay, Joseph may be the slim dude, but he's physically strong as hell. It's like, well, I'm not trying to brag. That's not the point. It's the message I'm trying to share. That together we hold the weight of this organization. So if you got my back, we're going to be all right. Because we can always swing the sword and get through all of the obstacles. So speaking of those who did that at that time, and some of them still to this day, and then there's also that conch shell that my ex is holding. That's my former. Okay, I was once upon a time married, and that's her. Shout out to Miss Shabazz. Okay, this is Salondia next to her. Salondia, who, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think anything has happened to change her position with Fulton County, but she is currently the head of Southwest Arts Center, which is where we started out as County in 2009. That's Mr. Brian Abear, who is currently the head of Clayton Arts Facility in Jonesboro, Georgia. He moved on and is now the head of his own art center there. And that's my man Dana Gray from New York, my brother Dana, who honestly, I don't know where Dana is now and what he's doing, but I know he's doing something creative. You're talking about some phenomenal artists in that picture right there. That right there, hey, that's team right there. I was mentioning Chris Miller before. That's him in the red shirt right there. A Nubia wear shirt, by the way. I'm gonna shout out Nubia. That's one of our past and present sponsors, people that support what we do. Nubia, Nubia wear. Just like I'm saying, wear clothes. Yes, they do. It's an apparel company, and that shirt, I still want that shirt to this day, but it's out of print. But it was, oh man, it was so beautiful. It was like a Chicago Bulls type motif, but it was based on Mentu. Or is it Montu? Mentu or Montu? I think it's Mentu. Yeah, Mentu. The one of the gods of war of ancient Kemet, Egypt. And all of Nubia's work is based on ancient Egypt. So I love that shirt. That shirt was so dope. Again, that's Dana Gray in the Star Wars shirt. Kevin Sipp next to him. I can't tell who those people are in the back there. I think that might be Mace. I'm not sure. Brandon Massey, legendary writer, supreme. If you love horror novels, you know who Brandon Massey is. That's him. I interviewed him one year at ONYXCON. This is Mr. Fitzroy James, a legend from Trinidad and Tobago, caricaturist supreme, artist supreme in general, but he's known for his caricatures, cartoonist. That's my brother right there. Good peoples. Again, the former. Okay. Yes. A lot of life, y'all. A lot of life. We've been places. We've done things. We still doing it. We still standing. ONYXCON, y'all. Happy birthday, ONYXCON. I was mentioning Dawood Anyabwile. One year, he took the team that Chris Miller created for us, like I said, the Sankofa family, and he did this illustration for the convention for a flyer. It's an original by Dawood Anyabwile. He did all the colors, the inks, everything digitally. I think he even laid out the logo in the six. Yeah, he did the six and the logo for us that year. And I always loved the way he handled the green ONYXCON, how he touched it up in Photoshop and had it really looking chiseled and metal. I love that. With the reflective surface to it and all that. It's very cool. He utilized one of the versions of Sankofa, the symbol from West Africa, from the Akan peoples of Ghana. He's got the bird with his head going back toward the tail, meaning you look back and fetch it. You go back and you know your past, so you can move forward into your future. And they were battling these random robots that Dawood had come up with, but it was actually starting to become its own storyline. So we added that to the lore of that character concept and team. And I always say, things like this, it don't matter how many years it takes down the road. Somebody could see this video right now, and here we are, 10 plus years later or whatever, and somebody said, "Man, that is brilliant. I got the money to do it. I do animations. I'd love to talk to y'all about acquiring that intellectual property and producing something." And then, everybody who's involved can get a call, and you never know what can happen after that. That's how real art flows. It don't always happen the year it was manifested. Sometimes things have to go through a stage of what I like to say is like incubation. It's like you're incubating it. And when it's time for it to hatch, it will hatch. Oh man, is the game over? I'm still looking at the TV while I'm talking. Again, history is happening, y'all. Hold on.
In about 2 minutes and 11 seconds from Steph Curry. Wembanyama gained 82-79 inside of 3 minutes. And the best shooter
Yes.
And I know there'd be great ones.
Yes. They did that thing.
At the moment, he took the ball with all the other alphas out there.
Wow.
And lights out.
So I'm gonna turn that down just so I can continue with y'all, but go USA, yo. Team USA. All them NBA legends, they did it. They did it. They went gold. That's beautiful. Congratulations to everybody. Steph Curry, LeBron, the whole nine. But yo, back to this so I can break it more down for y'all. There's more flyers from the previous conventions and everything. This character here, the Sankofa lady, another one, or Lady Sankofa, is a character that I also teamed up with another friend of ours to produce something for ONYXCON. That's James Mason. It's beautiful. And that was one of the years we did it in March, as you see, March 1st, because we were even trying to make the point, like, I always say, Black History Month, it's something we honor, but it's not the only month we celebrate. We celebrate 24/7, 365, So we couldn't get a scheduled venue that year during February, so we said, bump it, we're going to do March 1st and still, and we had a great, great year that year. I remember that year. All right, more history, y'all, more history. This is, again, the fam showed up, the characters created by Chris Miller for ONYXCON, and this time it was an illustration from Dan the Man. Shout out to Daniel Flores. Anybody from Atlanta that knows some of the underground legends in the city that have done a lot of major things in the art world. Dan used to be a part of ONYXCON, and him and his wife, they used to come out and have a table. And I remember the year he did this, we traded out a table for him. And he was playing off of the Avengers Assemble, and he's got the fam fighting yet again that robotic horde or whatever that was coming threatening. And it was a real fun flyer. I like this flyer too. I love all our flyers. I'm proud of all of our work. It's an attestament. It's a testament, y'all, to all of the work, all of the connections. And I always say that proudly, even when things have fell apart over the years. With some people, like I'm not in touch with Dan anymore, but I still wish him well. You know what I'm saying? And I always respect him as an artist. You feel me? This here is, now this is very powerful and important. This right here was the flyer for the art show. My final hoorah before I went full throttle into film. Because I've been in the film world for now, wow, over 11 years. And when I started, I'm still looking at this Olympic thing they celebrating. That's beautiful. When I started, it was, it was always a heavy journey, but it was a big thing to me to like, am I gonna just stop drawing and stuff? Because I noticed I just went through a phase where I didn't draw as much anymore. I still do. I've never went a year and didn't draw. That's just that don't happen. But I did notice I would let months go by maybe, and I just didn't care. I didn't want to express myself that way, but I would be excited when I go to set and be in a scene, and whether it was with legends that everybody knows, Kevin Hart, Oprah, Gabrielle Union. I can go on and on and on. I promise you. I mean, Bill Duke, Christine Adams, the rest of the cast from Black Lightning when I was a regular on that show. I've been on a lot of major stuff. I used to be on Greenleaf. I used to be on Being Mary Jane. I used to be on, as far as shows and movies, every Marvel film you can think of that filmed in Atlanta. I did both Black Panthers. I did the Spider-Man that had the Vulture in it. I had, gosh, man, the first Venom movie. So many movies. Oh my gosh, so many Marvel joints. There was a Marvel show. I'm trying to remember the name of the show now, but it was like based on the New Mutants. If you remember the name of the show, hit the comments. But yeah, I've been on that show. Did a lot of work, y'all. Tons and tons of work. But anyway, but I went into film, and then as I was going through that transition around that same time, I was getting my divorce. But I decided I wanted to do an homage to the history of blacks on Star Trek, and Star Trek was helping me through that whole period in my life. It's a deep time. It was it was emotional. There was a lot going on in my personal life. And for me, Star Trek became my refuge. It became this thing that I enjoyed watching and studying. And I created a new fandom for Star Trek because of that time. And I decided to do a piece, like I say, dedicated to the history of blacks on Star Trek. And it was, it went right along with the fact I myself was, becoming an actor. and I wanted to honor other actors who had done what I wanted to do, and still want to do on certain levels. I mean, some of it I've done, I've accomplished, but on other levels, I still got a long way to go. I feel like, and so anyway, this was one of these. This is not even one of the official pieces. These are like it's like a montage of illustrations from that series, but it was a huge one man show that I did at the Fulton County Aviation Community and Cultural Arts Center here in Atlanta, and it's off of Fulton Industrial. If you've ever been there, it's a beautiful facility. But anyway, I did that show. I'm very proud of that. It was literally the last major art exhibition I personally have had or exhibited my art, my visual art. But everything you see there is drawn, painted by me. And as you can see in the middle, Nichelle Nichols, and if you're looking at her hair and her outfit and everything, and wondering what uniform and what episode and what, so I did a fan thing with it. It was a fan based, yet still I kept elements from the show and from original canon, but I also did a fan story that went along with the art show. So I actually had a fan canon show, using some canon, real canon, with also my fan world concepts. And yeah, that was that. So this was the flyer from that. And of course, sponsored in part by ONYXCON, promoted by ONYXCON, and working in tandem with the Fulton County Arts Council and all the other elements. You see all the good connects down here for all the fine print. So yeah. Oh yeah. We do big things right here. We do real big things. This was year 8 of ONYXCON. Year 8 of ONYXCON. Now, this cover right here, this flyer, oh my gosh. This lady here. Let me make sure I say Laveda E. O'Neal. She is a phenom. Okay, yes, a lady that paints beautiful ladies and gents and everybody in fantastic environments. She's a fantasy artist. And she is a monster with the pen. You see that? You know what it is when you're looking at it. You know the quality you're looking at. That is beautiful, right? So yeah, she did that, and this was one of those situations where I reached out to her as a friend of mine, kind of said, "Hey, we'd love to use one of your images for the cover of our next event." And she was honored. And I told her also, I said, "I want to include you in the official art show because we would do an official annual art show every year. We have an art show." And she was down. She was like, "Yeah, absolutely, I'm there." And there you go. There you go. That's right. Well, I'm trying to tell you a lot of history. So these are more fun pics from the convention, different vendors, me with people with themselves, their families, some of the vendors, some of the artists. A lot of times, y'all, a lot of times. Marcus the Visual at the top right there did a flyer for us one year. Some of y'all will know his work if you go to MomoCon because his work has been official at MomoCon, used in some of their promos. And he's done work for DC and a whole bunch of other folks. He's big in the game right now. Shout out Marcus the Visual. And then down here at the bottom, this is a collaboration between myself. Even this is a collaboration with me because, again, that's Brother Yams right there, my character. And then this is Mace's character, which is a IP of ONYXCON, shared IP with the artist himself, James Mace Mason, and myself as ONYXCON representing. But again, Marcus the Visual, if you want to look him up on Instagram, Marcus the Visual did this illustration. Down here, though, like I say, this was a collab where it was my character, Brother Yams, as a mech, big Voltron style, giant robot type mech. And I reached out to a good friend of mine, legend, absolute legend, penciler, inker, but mostly penciler in the film biz, Mr. N. Stephen Harris, who is the absolute truth. Did this, and then it was digitally colored by Chris Miller, who I've mentioned many times in this broadcast. Yeah. And then I did, this is just a shout out to certain historical elements. See the pic, that's by one of our good friends, Black Heroes Matters, an organization that promotes the diversity of blacks in comics, film, etc., sci-fi and fantasy related heroism. Oh, that is Marcus the Visual, by the way. That's Marcus the Visual right there. One half of Tuskegee Ears, you see it on his t-shirt. Very famous comic book. Yes, indeed. His writing partner, Mr. Greg Burnham, is not pictured, but that's the other person that created that entity of Tuskegee Heirs, and they got a lot of press for that and fame, and well deserved. It's an excellent book. And this was the year that Black Panther and Black Lightning came out. A lot of people don't realize that show, Black Lightning, came out the same year the first Black Panther film came out. It was right in tandem, same time. And we did ONYXCON Sankofa that year, honoring that, the release of both of those and very important entities. And also, this is another one of those situations where a good friend of ours, very famous and legendary Mr. Eric Wilkerson, did this piece called The Oba Isa Zola. And it was already made. I saw it and I said, brother, that is absolutely perfect for our next flyer. Can we use it? And he gave us permission to use it for the flyer. The rest was history. This was a decade celebration. This was 2018, the year of the decade for ONYXCON. 10 years of ONYXCON. 10 years of ONYXCON. 6 years ago, y'all. So yeah, a lot of history, And these are, shout outs to some of our folks from over the year, different sponsors that supported and everything. So like I said, this is a very important commemorative mini yearbook. Thanks for anybody who did peek in and see me going through it. Now, another one I'm going to share with y'all real quick are two very important books. I mentioned John Jennings earlier when I was showing photos in there. But John Jennings and Damian Duffy, the two of them together, JJ and DD, so J2D2. See that? R2D2. Yeah, you see that? You see that how you do that blurred thing? That's that blurred culture going. But Damien is actually just that real cool ass white dude that loves all diverse culture. Shout out to Damien. That's my homie. So Damien, Mr. Duffy, and John Jennings put this book together. John is from Mississippi born. I'm proud to say that too, because another Southern brother up in here doing our things. Me from Atlanta and him from Mississippi. When we met, it was instant cool, relatable chemistry in the sense that you're talking to somebody from your region, you know what I mean? It's something about being from the South. It just is. But this is Black Comics, COMIX. And what makes this volume so important to the history of Blacks in comics and even our conventions and everything, because ONYXCON is mentioned in here, I'm mentioned in here. Not just mentioned, I have chapters in here. Everybody got a couple of pages, like 4 or 3 pages. And I got a real good spread. But, a lot of times when people do cultural movements, it's not the people who actually are part of the movement who get to document it sometimes. It be everybody else but them, and everybody else but them that ever makes any money off it or any kind of fame off it or whatever, and that ain't right. So we got ahead of that in this movement, the Black Age of Comics movement. Black Age of Comics movement started by Mr. Turtel On Lee, who's also in this book. I'm going to tell y'all about him. But this is volume 2. That's volume 2 right there. Black Comics Returns. I think you might be able to still find this online. If you find this, it's going to be a pretty penny for it. And this is my baby. You know what I'm saying? Signed and everything. That's my signature. Plus other people's signatures up in here. Like, I could probably, for what some people, something like somebody who's a hardcore fan, maybe somewhere over in Japan or whatever, because it's usually people in places like that that really appreciate our cultures, would probably pay top dollar just to get a hold of what's in my hand right now, because I've seen this book go for hundreds. It's a $50 book when it came out. I've seen it go for hundreds on eBay because it's out of print. This book is now out of print. But like I said, this is my personal copy. And I have one other, I think I only have this one copy left. I used to have a lot of copies, but I sold a lot of them. But you see it signed by a lot of my friends who are in the book. So you talking about value. Yeah. I was talking about Fuller Richardson earlier. There's some of her work right there. That mermaid. But I'm not gonna go page by page. This is definitely like a flip through where I'll be showing a product or what have you. I'm just gonna show y'all real quick. That's Sean Elaine right there. He gave me a shout out on his page. Signed it. I did a major book signing for this here in Atlanta at that same Barnes & Noble I was talking about earlier. It's now closed. And man, when I tell y'all that was a historical day, first of all, I had to get the book in the store because when I first went to the store, it wasn't available. And it was after it had been published, and Barnes& and Noble had an ability to have it there through Mark Batty Publishing, who published it. But they were a small press, so it was one of those situations where unless someone told them they wanted the book in store, they weren't going to necessarily order it. So I remember I went in, I spoke with the community rep, and I'm trying to remember her name. She was so sweet and nice. She helped us out a lot. Can't remember her name. If I see her face, I just can't remember names. This is how it go when you got so many people in your head that you know from over the years of all that work. But I told her, I said, whoever the manager is, I need to talk to him about getting that book on the shelves because I want to do a signing here before our ONYXCON convention coming up in a few weeks. I wanted to make it part of hype for the convention when we were going to do it at that August. So she was like, okay, cool. And she got the guy out the back. And I'll never forget, he came up, he shook my hand, and I told him, I said, sir, I'm going to make an epic event here in this store, but it's going to have to happen on a Thursday because I got an event happening on the weekend. He said, oh, Thursday is a really bad day for us. We don't usually get a lot of people when we have signings. Because I showed him what the book title was. He looked it up. He said, oh, yeah, we do have it in our catalog. I said, yeah, we can order it. No problem. We'll get some books for you to do the signing. He said, but we don't usually do well on Thursday. I said, you're going to do great when we're here. He looked at me like, that's a lot of confidence. I said, you're going to do excellent when I'm here with ONYXCON. You just like, he just gave me this look like, I don't know who this dude is, but somehow I believe him. So he gave me the chance. He said, well, like he was like, I'll get the books. It's kind of your risk. I just hope you sell some. I said, we'll be all right. So I put the hype out online and everything. The day came. First, it was just me and a few other people that showed up early. We set up the table. It's like a reunion up in that mug. I'm just going to be flipping through, y'all. Sorry if I don't say the name of every artist on every page. That's Eric Battle. That's my dude right there, Philly in the house. But I set it up, and I'm shouting out people and everything. And finally, all the artists who were in town for the convention that could be there that day, I'm just going to put it close so you can read it yourself if you want to know the name of the artist. How about that? And people started coming in that bookstore. And because we were at the front of the bookstore, when I tell you, every single person that came in that door stopped, marveled at this book, and 90% of them went straight to the register and bought this $50 book. Like I say, 50 at the time. It's worth way more than that now. That's Gray right there. The artist known as Gray. But and Stephen Harris, signed on the page. It's kind of 2010. It was 2010, y'all. That was 2010 when I did that signing. Crazy. The momentum was insane. We had so many people in the building. I mean, each case of books was like 10. I think we went through 3 full cases of $50 books. Right? Yeah. We was doing it like that. It was major. Of course, proceeds getting split with I didn't even really make any money off of that. The way it works with a lot of books is we did as artists in the book, we all got a percentage, but the percentage was so small because by the time, it's a lot like the record industry, what you hear. Once they cut it up, John and Damien get their little piece, which when I say little piece, it was really a little piece. And then there's like an even smaller piece to each artist. And there's how many artists in this book? We ain't make no money on that way. What we would do is we could order the books by cases at a discount and then resell them. So I did make a little bit off of that. You make your little 100 and something, but that was about it. It wasn't like a lot. But I remember I did order about 2 cases of books, and I sold all of them books real quick because everybody wanted the book. It's legendary. But anyway, y'all know the show Woke about Keith Knight? Yeah, Keith Knight is in here. Shout out Keith. He's a cool dude. I met Keith before all the fame, before he ever was on had that show and everything. And by the way, these illustrations in the little blocks are by John Jennings of each artist in the book. He drew all of us, and then they did a little mini bio. But the art on the page is by the artist. So yeah. Kenji in the house. Good stuff. Yo, we're way past the time I wanted to be on here, though. I know y'all ain't got the patience to make it this far. Some of y'all will watch, but I'm going to quickly show you my page and wrap this thing on up. Because I know if it get anywhere near an hour, y'all ain't going to ever watch it. But that's John's illustration of me back when I had my fro hawk. And yeah, this is some of my collage art of one of my main characters. Some of my pages from the comic book. All of these are pages from the comic book from Brother Yam's #1. Yes, all of this is my work. This is still for sale, by the way. This is Rise Up, based on an homage to the movie Rise about the clown crump dance phenomenon from Los Angeles. Anybody who's in love with They Not Like Us and the video with all those folks dressed with the clown outfits and the one clown at the beginning, that's Tommy the Clown, who is honored here in this illustration and who was majorly honored in that film. And so this piece was dedicated to that movement and that history. And all that graffiti I drew right here is saying "Rise Up." That's what that says. Yeah, yeah, that piece is still for sale. This here, boom, is the cover of Brother Yam's #1. That's an oil pastel on suede board by yours truly again. And this piece no longer available. It was gifted away to a very good ATLian friend of mine. But this is Andre 3000, The Love Below. Like if I had done the album cover for that, this would have been my album cover for that amazing piece of music majesty. I'm a true Outkast fan. I mean, how can you not be when you're from ATL for real? But yeah, y'all, a lot of history. Shout out Ekbot, talking about other conventions, ones that inspired ONYXCON to even begin doing conventions. Ekbot was the first one I ever went to a black comic convention up in Philadelphia, and they still going. Yumi Odo, my man, that's the founder. And then yours truly here, got an essay up in here about the history of ONYXCON, how we started, everything. A lot of history, y'all. Lots of history. And finally, I'm just going, like I said, I'm just going to quickly flash this because I know it's going to get to about the 50-minute mark, and I'm way over the tolerance of most feeble minds these days. Now, if y'all hit the comments, let me know, man, I don't care about how long that video is. I loved it, every bit of it, man. Do that more often. That was awesome. I will, but you gotta let me know because, you know, time is of the essence. We on a mission, and I got other things I'm gonna be doing for content for y'all today, and I'm not gonna be doing stuff that y'all ain't gonna really, really appreciate. Keith is up in here again. You know what I'm saying? Part 2. Show y'all my spread up in this one. This had a nice spread for me too. Oh, gotta shout out the man, the founder, the first ever to do a comic convention dedicated to the black movements in the arts of comic book art and etc. First Black Comic Con, Mr. Turtail On Lee from Chicago, Illinois. 1993, first ever black convention in the history of humanity. Nowhere in the world had it been done until 1993. A true convention for black comic book art and related. Started by the guy who did this, Mr. Turtail On Lee. Now this image in the middle is of his characters, but he didn't illustrate that. That is Mr. Eric, I think that's Eric Battle again. Let me be sure before I say that though. Yep, Eric Battle. And I forget who colored it, but somebody else did the coloring on that, but that's my man Eric Battle. And then this over here, all of this work is Mr. On Lee himself. Some of the covers of his comics and interior pages, etc. Legendary. Legendary. Where's my page? Show y'all mine, and I'm gonna be up out of here. Here we go. There's that guy. So this is why when I be saying, yo, I'm selling my artwork, you know, when you've been published and done art shows, that's value, y'all. You're gonna have to pay for it. My concept, Biggity, what is it? That's the first illustration of the creature. It is a film, a short film that's available here on YouTube, on our channel. Just look up Biggity, Biggity, colon, what is it? Question mark, exclamation mark. Okay. And that's Caterpillar, which is still for sale. That's a huge piece right there. I'm almost tempted to sell that original Biggity piece. I still have that too. And this is still for sale also. This is that Sankofa Selectors piece you saw on that flyer I showed earlier. If you made it this far, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, you got to go back and do your homework. But that's the Sankofa Selectors by yours truly. So there you go, y'all. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Again, it's happy birthday to ONYXCON. Peace, y'all.